Broadcasting from the Faith Bunker in a secret location, Sheep Below Ministries presents The Bunker Brothers.
We are Christian men, fathers, and husbands, but we are also former correctional officers. Just like everyone who has ever been in the first responder world, you know that it can change your view on everything.
A while back, we decided to dig into our Christianity, its people, theology, apologetics, and history. We try to do this with humor, honesty, and respect. Now, we want to include you in our conversation. I'm Daniel Audette.
And I'm Andrew Graham. And together we are
The Bunker Brothers. Welcome back. Graham, we're here with another episode of The Bunker Brothers. Why, we've been looking forward to getting
I did
together.
good that time.
You did really great. You were right on point. I'm so excited about what
You get so on me about not being on point.
You're really coming along. You're really coming along.
It's only taken me a year and a half to learn it.
Look, this is something I'm good at, and you get things you're good at. We've gone shooting together, and I enjoy shooting at the range now and then, and you know that grouping, when it comes to grouping, you're way better than I am. I can hit the target, and you were talking about grouping, and I said, grouping? What's grouping? Oh, putting the bullets near each other. Never heard of that. Great. Because if I'm shooting, my guy's bleeding out from here. It's bad. But anyway, we're here together, and Graham, tonight I'm excited about covering a topic I think would be interesting just to discuss because, I really enjoy music. I love music, and
you must be the devil then.
Well, I'm a moody person. Because what do you mean? I must be the devil.
Music is the devil.
It's really weird that you would say that. 'Cause I know of actually maybe one or two.
Sorry, I've been reading articles today. It is.
Yeah, well, so apparently you've been spending time with the wrong kind of but let's get into that as well, because we have people that really believe that that nothing is of God, and I get a feeling that does exist. Let me broadly say there are people who just feel like that nothing that is really of God. Like no art is of God, no plays, no movies, no music. I guarantee, and having hairstyles or even fashion, just all this is not of God. And I really feel like right at the very beginning, we had to take issue that there are people who really do think that. And sometimes I think they're also not of God.
I don't know that I'd go that far, but...
Well, I feel like that they are not of God in this way.
I think they're a little misled.
Yes, which if I, by definition, think of God as the one who leads and they're misled, then they're not of God. Now, I win on that one.
You always win.
I try.
Just because I give up.
So, Graham, growing up, what kind of music did you listen to a lot when you were, in and out of church?
Oh, gosh. Probably stuff we should not talk about on this show.
No.
I grew up on the 80s hair metal and 70s rock and metal. It probably wasn't the best thing. Was it?
It didn't make you a worse person. I think I know you, well enough.
I've never been one to blame a whole lot of entertainment on the dumb things that I did. Whether it was music or video games or television, they didn't make me do anything. I did them because I wanted to do them. Now, I will say that probably some of it I was listening to I shouldn't have been. I'll freely admit that. It wasn't good for anybody, Christian or non-Christian, to be listening to. And I'm not even going to say that about all of it.
What was your music at church like? Because I know you
very hymn-based.
You attended, I think, Disciples of Christ for your
I did.
As well as a couple other...
I did. I bounced between Disciples of Christ and Presbyterian.
So how's that go? How's that?
It was always very hymn-based, very traditional church music. And I've always enjoyed music. I played music when I was younger. I don't anymore. But
you were in a band, weren't you?
I was.
You were like a band member,
I was.
which really skates close to whether you played music or not. I mean, I like band music. I can say we had a really good band back when I was younger. My brother played in the band, and the band from our high school was, I mean, these guys were good. I mean, we spent the money on the nice uniforms because they were worth actually dressing out.
Well,
for
we
stuff,
were
you hear me?
we were good for the size of the school. Let's put it that way.
That's true. That's true.
We
Because
had
you
a
were what?
very small school,
You were North
Duplin.
Duplin, the Quonset Hut High School of our region. No, seriously, it was built probably. I know that they had to have military Quonset Huts that they got a deal on and just built it though. That's awesome.
But we had a very small band, but we tried really hard and we did fairly well most of the time. But music is always, I think, true of a lot of people. Music has always been a part of my life, whether it was church or at home or at school or wherever it was. I don't think you can live your life and avoid music.
Probably for me, the very first exposure I had to any music at all, let alone Christian music, if you want to call it that too, was really through my parents. My brother played a guitar, my dad played a guitar, and my sister played the piano, and my other sister, she played tambourines and auto harp. There was an instrument.
I remember an auto harp.
Auto harp, and I mean, it just.
If you don't, go look it up, or we'll try to post a picture of one.
My sister Susan actually played an auto harp, but my sister Deborah actually also played. Good grief! Accordion. Although I didn't ever really hear her play that very much because by the time I came along, accordions weren't as popular, at that time. I'm not saying
I found
accordions
a picture
are cool.
of an auto harp.
Yeah. Oh, it's so crazy. It's just, I mean, think of it. You strum, you press the keys, it makes a sound. I don't know what to say. But my sister Susan would sing and actually play the auto harp.
We'll have to add this into the slideshow.
Yeah, we'll have to. Please do. So that was my exposure to music was really through my parents. And they sang a lot of music that was from what you could call the gospel end. They didn't really sing much in-house that was secular, but it was mostly gospel music. And then by gospel, I have to say, it was kind of like a weird quasi 1930s, 1940s, 1950s mix. I mean, of the songs that they loved. And a lot of them really were kind of built around ballad styles of Christian music. They often told stories because they were meant to evoke a picture in your mind and bring you to a decision.
Like Johnny Cash.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, right, very much so.
See, now, and I mentioned Johnny Cash, and when we talk about music, I've got to talk about Johnny Cash because it was the only music my dad and I both really enjoyed independently. Now, he listened to mostly, stuff from the 50s and 60s, which I enjoy. I don't have a problem with it. I still listen to that stuff on occasion. And I grew up on, like I said, a lot of heavy metal, hard rock, a lot of country just because of where we grew up. There's no way to avoid country music. But Johnny Cash was the one thing that independently he and I would listen to that we could agree on.
My first car that I bought off my first car.
See, I never figured out how they put record players in cars.
Listen, no. My first car had an 8-track tape deck.
Or did you have David sitting in the passenger seat playing?
It had an 8-track tape deck.
I'm making fun of how old you are.
Do you ever know about 8-track tapes?
I do.
Okay. So it had an 8-track tape deck in it, okay? And I had to go scrounge for 8-track tapes all through thrift stores because the 8-track was already out by the time I'm riding this thing.
And I pick on you about the record player, but I actually had a record player in my room.
So do you know what the 8-track tape deck? What I played in it the most?
I'm scared to ask.
I had Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison. I found a copy of an 8-track of Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison, and I have listened to
Good
all
album.
of it. I've listened to Egg Sucking Dog,
Yeah.
which is one of the weirdest songs he ever did to me. Very weird, but it's a song about an egg sucking dog. Trust me, it's out there. And I actually listened to that one quite often, just because it was on there. You couldn't avoid it. It's not like you could really skip around too easily on an 8-track.
No, you couldn't.
No. But that was a lot of the music that I came up to. And of course, then I had the music in church. And in church, we sang a lot of hymns.
Before we move on, though, I want to say Johnny Cash's music evolved over the years. And what he's famous for is Folsom Prison Blues and I Walk the Line and the stuff from his early career. But if you listen to the last few albums he made, and if you're looking for them, they're referred to as the American albums or the American recordings because they were released by American Records. The songs are not necessarily quote unquote Christian, but the way he performs them and some of the changes he made to them give you a good sense of where he was at religiously at the end of his life.
Right.
Johnny Cash knew he had made a lot of mistakes and knew he had done a lot of bad things, and he also knew Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right.
Now, it took him a long time to get there, and I'm not saying that what he did earlier in life was good, but he definitely came to an understanding that he realized he needed God, he needed Jesus Christ. And he really put that forth in his music. Now, the style of music didn't change a whole lot. It was still, obviously, Johnny Cash music.
Look, I'm telling you, if I don't get goosebumps if I listen to When the Man Comes Around,
Yeah.
that song gives me
That's a good
goosebumps. I'm sorry, the opening line, well, besides it quoting a verse from Scripture, the very opening, it says, there's a man going round taking names, and he decides who to free and who to blame. Everybody won't be treated all the same. There'll be a golden ladder reaching down when a man comes around. And that song just gets you because, that he's talking about God. He's talking about God coming on the scene and settling all the scores and all the debts and calling everyone into account. And it should scare you. And he is the only guy I know who could sing that and have it give me goosebumps like that.
And I'll be honest with you. His later stuff I like better than his older stuff. Right. Which is unusual for me. Normally I like the first few things that somebody does and not their later stuff.
Right. So we were both exposed to a lot of hymns when we were in church, and I was too. A lot of ours were very, so you could say, the gospel chorusy hymns that came out in the 30s, 40s, 50s, that kind of stuff. Not what we sometimes refer to high church music.
See, and that's pretty much what I grew up on.
Right. So, I mean, we didn't have my faith is based on nothing less than Scofield's Notes and Scripture Press. I dare not trust any other name but in that of the King James.
Well, I promise I will not sing today.
I haven't promised that. Growing up in our church, we didn't really have a lot of what you could call really good, like higher level hymn music like you might find in some churches.
Well, see, and I grew up on very traditional hymns.
Yeah.
I grew up on Amazing Grace and Sweet Hour of Prayer.
Right.
And Mighty Fortress. And there's a lot of them, I don't even remember the names of them.
Sure.
But, the really traditional high church type music is what I grew up on. And there's some of that I really like. Sweet Hour of Prayer is still one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, but it's too long. We're going to sit down and sweet 30 seconds of prayer. We got to fit the modern times, man.
Oh,
we don't got time to go a whole hour.
So we're going to cut down from a 7-point sermon to a 5-point sermon to a 3-point sermon. 15 years from now, it'll be a 1-point sermon. So everybody can get back home and get on their iPads again.
That's what it was.
And watch somebody preach a 5-point sermon.
That's right, exactly. Well, one of the things I enjoyed going to church was the music. But we had a guy who played the piano, and he didn't play the piano like other people played the piano. He had played
that scares me.
He had played it, but he played it in a very bluesy kind of way. And
in
so
the church?
Our hymns kind of came out a little bit different than some people's hymn. It had a little more swing to the roll when it was called Up Yonder. I can tell you that much. Ours had a little more swing to the roll.
It's funny you say that. There's a comedian named Chandra Pierce. Anyway, go type it in. Google will get you in the right place. And she does a bit about the fact that her mother raised her in a Christian household, or her family was raised in a Christian household. And during college, she got a job playing bluesy music in a bar.
Right.
And one night, her mama showed up.
Oh, no.
And she had to change the lyrics on the fly. And it's a really great bit. I've tried to find how it's listed on YouTube so I can send people there. Cause
That's awesome. Well,
it's a great...
It's Chonda, spelled what? Chonda. So definitely awesome to see. You know, when my parents would
hey, just
sing,
look her up. Everything she does is funny.
My parents would sing, and they'd have us sing, and then as I got a little older, you know, I had this really cool thing called a radio in my room. You know what I'm saying? This is the day when radios were really, really important. I don't know if kids even use radios these days.
They don't. They use their phones.
Right. And
or their
that's
computer,
cool.
Or their
iPad. So
or
whatever you could bring in, you listen to, and I listened to. And my mom did not know what I listened to in my room. And I did not tell her.
My mom didn't know what I listened to in my room either. And she wasn't even as... strict about it as your mom. But
so one of the programs I used to listen to when I was a Dr. Demento show.
I've heard that.
Dr. Demento would do the craziest kind of odd Adams Ofox music that you've heard, but guys like Weird Al Yankovic and other people you know of get some of their reason for being because Dr. Demento would play and promote.
And actually, I think
did.
Weird Al got broke because of Dr. Demento. That's where he got big at.
Right. And so, you know what? Some of the songs he played were some days questionable. I guarantee it. But that's what I was listening
sure
to.
They were.
Yeah, I had really a taste for the really odd stuff, man. And so
you still do.
Come on, I know, right? So
this is why when we go on trips, I run the phone that's playing music.
So where are we taste wise today? Before we get into our discussion of Christian music, of our take on a lot of that, where does your tastes kind of fall today? Don't be shamed.
I'm not. I'm still.
I won't judge. I'm judging. I won't judge. I'm judging. Go ahead.
I'm still into hard rock, heavy metal side of things.
One day we're gonna save you from that, Graham.
And I still enjoy that kind of music. Now, what I have found, and people will make the distinction, and I've heard it made, that there is Christian music, and then there are Christians who make music.
Right.
And I understand the distinction that they're making.
Uh-huh.
But honestly, I'd rather listen to the Christians who make music. Mm-hmm. Because some Christian music is not sung by Christians. Let's face it. There's a lot of secular artists who will put out a gospel album because they think it'll sell or they need a good press bump or something.
You mean the same guy who makes a song, about smoke weed every day is going to make one about gospel songs.
Right.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg and others have done it too. I mean, it's a popular thing. And, I mean, is it necessarily wrong for them to do that? Nah, but, if you're going to square up with your message, that doesn't quite smack right with your message, does it? So it's kind of weird. But now, where am I? And
people can change. We're not saying that people can't change.
Now, our musical styles, we have some styles of music that we absolutely agree on 100%. I think when it comes to our love for good old Irish rock, some good Celtic music,
absolutely.
That's kind of a cultural thing for us, and that's not discounted. But where I land and where we're so different in this is I love electro dance music.
Oh gosh,
and I am a Daft Punk fan. And when people say punk, they actually don't know what that is. They'll think I'm being punk rock. Nah, Daft Punk. And
it's not punk.
It is, it's some good. To me, that's some really good music.
See, I grew up on real British punk music.
Now we already have transgressed, Graham. We've already transgressed. We have admitted that we listen to something else besides Christian music sometimes, and there are people who honestly believe you should not, 100%, absolutely should not listen to anything that isn't Christian.
Well, there's people that will tell you that you shouldn't listen to anything but high church music.
Oh, well,
You should only listen to the hymns.
I prefer low church music because I'm short. Just saying.
Well, you are that.
I like stuff I can sing along to. You know what I'm saying? I knew a guy, and I'm not joking, Graham. He came into our bookstore that my family used to have in Avery County, and he wanted to get a hymnal in shaped notes. Now, there was a time where there's a lot less instruments. Right now, there's instruments all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was a time when actually having instruments was a little harder to come by, and so unless you made them yourself. Well, during that time, one of the awesome things was there was these hymnals that were actually published with shaped notes. And the shaped notes actually gave you your do, re, mi, or solfege. So you could follow those and actually do the song without actually knowing how to really read music, to be honest. And it was a really great shortcut to do vocal. And actually, it is actually reading music, if you want to argue it this way, because a person's saying, well, that solfege is a form of music scoring, and you can read it. You are reading music.
Right.
So what they did is they combined the musical score with solfege and made these hymnals that you could follow along if you knew how to do solfege, or follow along if you knew how to read the music. So it met the need for instruments and for voice.
Now tell me what that's called again.
It's called, well, solfege would be one thing, but another thing to say is shaped note. Shaped note. And you'd find maybe, if you look it up, you could say shaped note hymnal, and you'll see not round ovals, but you'll see other shapes. And it's kind of a unique thing for some hymnals and stuff, and just you'll have to check it out.
This is new to me.
So we had a guy come in, and he was actually quite upset because his church got new hymnals, and they didn't have shaped notes. And he was upset and mad because he thought that all hymnals had to have shaped notes, and now they're all one thing because all the same sound, and they'd ruined the hymns. And all his church had done was bought new hymnals. But he loved his shaped notes so much, and he thought that that was a definition of what Christian hymnal was, of what hymns were, to have the notes have a shape.
Now, I find it interesting that you say that.
But I'll tell you what his opinion was.
But because a lot of the arguments that I've seen that I can almost take seriously against what we would call contemporary Christian music, or Christian rock, or Christian rap, or you pick your genre and put Christian in front of it. One of the verses that is used a lot in saying that you shouldn't listen to that kind of music, even if it's a Christian-based music, is the verse from Romans chapter 14. And I think it's verse 17. Not quite. I missed it. Yeah, it's verse 14. I'm sorry. But if anyone regards something as unclean, then for that person it is unclean. If your brother or sister is distressed because of what you eat, you are no longer acting in love. Do not by your eating destroy someone for whom Christ died. Now, that sounds really good when you're trying to make this argument. Because you're saying, well, if you listen to it and it causes somebody else to do something wrong, then you shouldn't have been listening to it in the first place. Therefore, we got to get rid of all of it, and it should never exist.
Is that what the text says? Because I'm a textualist, Graham.
See,
I'm a textualist.
And
I only believe what the text says, not what people think about it.
I read verse 14 and verse 15. Well, I read half of verse 14 and verse 15. I didn't read the first half of 14 because they conveniently leave that out, where Paul says that nothing is unclean until it makes your brother stumble. And I'll read it straight because that was not a straight reading. That was me paraphrasing. But the beginning of verse 14 says, I am convinced, being fully persuaded in the Lord Jesus Christ, that nothing is unclean in itself.
I mean, and
then he goes on to say, unless it causes somebody else to do something they shouldn't.
And Paul's really arguing about the responsibility of love toward your brothers and sisters in Christ who may not have as strong a belief in their faith and confidence in their ability that are led away easily by other things and could be led away by you doing it too by example. And so this goes that Paul is saying in one case, we know that, and he dealt with meat. Say, well, that does make no sense. So he's preaching against eating meat. You need to read the Bible and learn about it to know. He's talking about meat bought in markets, meat bought in the secular markets, which in that area might not be done the way Jews expected to be done, or kosher the way Jews expected to be kosher, although don't eat blood. But then also some butchers dedicated their meats to different gods.
Right.
And so that's just how it was. You went down there and you went to the market, you're going to buy it. This guy dedicated it already. Because some areas you couldn't butcher without dedication. It's just one of those things. So the result was, Paul said we don't have to be afraid of going to the market and in getting food and buying from what we bless and what we purchase and what we bless. Before God sanctifies that, it makes it good for us. He said, but sometimes we have people who don't feel that way. And by seeing us do that, it can make them stumble. So if they feel like it's wrong, then we're not going to go down and do this just because we can, even though we're not doing anything wrong. We have to make our basis based off of of our love for our brother.
So basically,
so
what
if
he's
I
saying,
want to listen to something and I want to listen to it, I can listen to it.
right?
And if you don't want to listen to it and you feel like it's wrong, I'm not going to force you to listen to it. Probably not going to listen to it where I'm around you.
Right.
But not because you're right and I'm wrong. Because that's not what the Word of God just said.
No, and I'll actually, I think I closed it.
This is the kind of thing, Christianity, if you want to go ahead and cop out and be a religious cop out, you're going to follow lots and lots and lots of rules. But if you want to be a mature Christian, you are responsible for what you do individually. Your responsibility goes up.
Right.
Which is why it is simpler for some people to serve by following rules, and it's not wrong for them to do so if they know deep down the rules aren't what saves them.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with all kinds of rules. If you think that's what's saving you, then there's everything wrong with it.
Right.
But meanwhile, don't criticize my freedom because you want to take a bondage that doesn't apply to me. And I think that's an interesting thing because you know what you just said goes for so many issues over and over and over.
Yeah, it goes for anything that
whether Christian women, where the women, I remember one like in the 80s. Should Christian women wear makeup? And I got asked this by a youth group. I'm not even trying to deal with makeup, but I told them my answer. I said, "Have you seen some of these Christian women? Man, they need some." And they would just
That's
laugh.
harsh,
Those
man.
girls would laugh their heads off because
That's harsh.
Listen, they would laugh about it. You know why? I mean, that sounds misogynistic, and I'm sure that could be criticized. But I would tell them that because the point wasn't the makeup. The point was what are we really trying to do? Are we trying to enhance something? Are we trying to make ourselves feel more confident or look good? Or is this only about dolling up to be prideful? That's the real issue. Is that not the makeup? And so I break the ice with that.
And I think it can work for a lot of things. It works for alcohol. It works for music.
And again, I apologize to any female listeners because honestly, I don't makeup, no makeup. It doesn't bother me. My wife enjoys wearing makeup and she does it for herself, and I have no problem with that. It is what it is, and can I appreciate it? Sure, I can. Is that the real her? Well, I'm not answering that question.
Smart man.
I'm not answering that question.
You're smarter than I thought you were there for a second.
So, Graham, one of the big things that I have, like, from my end, I was going to say that I know that there is music out there that certainly is wrong, wicked, that has a bad inspiration and that has something wrong with it that promotes sin. I know that. We all know that. But why is it that we want to extend this definition into something that is clearly Christ honoring? Why is it? Why, if we want to just avoid what the world is doing wrong, can't we just avoid what the world is doing that's wrong? Without, I mean, just saying. Because again, people will argue. Well, football is out. This is out. And that is out. They have no problem with soccer. Yeah, but to me, if your football's out, soccer's out. Thank God. And but everything. You can find something wrong with everything if you want to.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a cheap, lazy way of living your Christian life.
I think so too.
And I say that because the Word of God says, if it's of a good report, that's one of the qualifications of if it's something you can think about. Is it of a good report? Right. Is it good? Is it something that isn't hurting anybody? Is it enjoyable? Okay. You can think on that. You can go enjoy art. You can go enjoy a play. You can go enjoy a movie. You can go enjoy things.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
We have a problem. Some people don't want to enjoy anything. Or they want us just to enjoy God. And I feel like that, okay, I want to enjoy God. But I can enjoy the things that man made that are beautiful, wonderful, and good, and I can enjoy God.
Here's my thing.
Wow.
I am a firm believer that God gave that person the talent to paint or to sing or to play football or to do whatever. God gave them that talent. So, regardless of what they may do with it, because not everybody does good things with it, it is still a God-given talent, whether they recognize it or not. So, and I'm not sitting here trying to push, as you said, obviously wicked music. That's not where I'm going with this. But I don't think the style of music can determine whether it's wicked or not. And being a rock music fan, too many times you hear people say that it's not even the words, it's the beat of the music that's just from the devil. And I cannot wrap my head around this one.
Graham, this is a great place to take a break at. We'll be right back with more of the Bunker Brothers right after this. You know, Graham, in the world today, being inclusive is a big thing. And Sheep Below Ministries is just that, inclusive.
Sheep Below is an online ministry group, right?
Graham, you're so out of date. They prefer the term evangelism.
All right, why would I want to get involved with Sheep Below Ministries? Aren't they just a bunch of stuffy old preachers?
No, they're men and women just like us. They come from all over the world. Sure, some of them are preachers and chaplains, but most are just regular people who want to do something to spread the Word of God.
Really? What could I do?
Whatever you want. They already have Bible studies, podcasts, and even a writing ministry.
But what if I want to do something different? Feel called to minister to bikers, or play music, or even preach on a street corner?
That's great. God calls us for a reason and gives us something we can do to share with others. So get up with Sheep Below Ministries and start something.
So how would I contact Sheep Below Ministries and get something new started?
It's easy. You can email them at sheepbelowministries@gmail.com.
Email? Now that's sort of outdated, isn't it? With all the social media in the world.
They're on social media too. Facebook, Twitter, and coming soon to Instagram.
Let me see if I have this straight. Sheep Below Ministries may let me do something that I'm interested in and spread the gospel?
You never know until you contact them.
sheepbelowministries@gmail.com.
Or Facebook, which is www.facebook.com/sheepbelow.
Or on Twitter @belowsheep.
Sheep Below Ministries.
Serving the sheep below until they are
at last above. We're back from the break with more of the Bunker Brothers.
See, I didn't even try that time.
You did awesome, Graham, the first time. I don't expect 2 out of 1 as 1 out of 2 is great.
2 out of 1?
Hey, before the break, you had said something that was really interesting about how people were criticized music just based off of quote unquote the beat.
Yeah, or
the beat.
The music itself, not the lyrics, but the music itself. And I've never been able to wrap my head around that one.
Why does that throw you so bad?
Because there's nothing inherently good or bad in music in and of itself. There's no way to tell me that a particular type of drum beat or instrument, phrase is somehow dishonoring God.
One of the bands I think of when you say that is Christafari. So Christafari has a very reggae sound that's very familiar to the Rastafarian end.
Right.
They themselves are not Rastafarians, they are Christians, but their culture is very much part of that Rasta culture. And that doesn't mean that they don't love Jesus Christ, but their music is really influenced. And I don't know if you know this, but I happen to love their music. I mean, it's got some good music.
I heard you say that.
Right. And but one of the things he said in one of the lines of his songs, that I wrote that is done by the band, is they say, I can't be a Christian because of these dreadlocks I display. And then his answer to that is, oh, yoko yo, yoko yay. In other words, really? I mean, it doesn't matter. But, dreadlocks, and of course in that same song, I think it's called Blood and Fire by Christafari. I think I'll look it up. Is the idea that you shouldn't change the message. You can change the method, you can change the style of music or its presentation, but you don't change the message. And that was the point of the song, and I absolutely love that message.
Well, and I think that's kind of where I was going. Christian music has evolved over the 2 millennia since Christ.
He said evolved. He's an evolutionist.
Thank you.
It's changed over time. Well, he don't believe in change. Well, then put your hymnal away.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something, Graham. Are you ready for this bombshell? You ready?
Yep.
All music was once contemporary.
Yes. Absolutely.
All Christian music was once contemporary. Contemporary just means the music that is current with the times.
Yeah.
All music was once current with its time.
Yeah.
Well, the hymns weren't. Think again.
Yeah, they were.
Think again. The Wesley brothers used drinking tunes, and they made songs that their people could sing because none of the people had gone to church to learn the church music. We still do not know how David's psalms sound, and we read in the Bible about a lot of instruments that are used in the Word of God. And one person said, well, we read about them in the book of Daniel, and the Babylonians were there playing their instruments, and that when there names all those instruments are obviously ones that God wouldn't choose, and that's not how it works, man.
Well,
that's not how it works.
We also hear about David dancing in the street as a form of worship.
Well, we know that dancing is not of God. Well, nobody should ever move their body. Don't ever throw it back or nothing. Nobody does nothing. We stand here, the amazing grace, how sweet we are, as stiff as the Lord can be. And I'm okay with people that don't want to do it that way. It's not a problem. I don't mind if they want to. I don't care if a person wants to listen to hymns. I love hymns. I don't care if you want to listen to them all day long. I'm not going to make a person listen to what I want to listen to, but they don't need to judge me because I listen to something they don't listen to, especially if I'm going to choose it to be something God-honoring.
Right.
I'm sorry. Project 86. Fall, Goliath Fall is a powerful song.
It is.
I mean, it's just simply, literally raising your hand in defiance of your own sinful ways, of the way your sinful world is, and just saying, fall, Goliath, fall. I mean, these songs are, to me, they're good. Well, brother, you're just deceived. Is that your phone?
That's my phone.
Your Star Trek communicator sound is just killing
Don't
me.
tell them I watch Star Trek. They'll think I'm the devil.
Yeah, right. Well, the problem is it's too easy to call everything the devil, Graham.
It is, and that we all heard that joke from the movie The Waterboy.
Oh,
where the mother of Adam Sandler's character, everything to her was the devil, and we make that joke, but that's the way a lot of people live.
Yeah.
They think everything is from the devil. I'll tell you, in the last year and a half, maybe 2 years, my whole world has been turned on its head musically. Because normally it's the parents that introduce small children to music, as you said your parents did.
Yeah, it was in the house all the time.
And I did some of that with my daughter. And then she started introducing me to music. Actually, Project 86 was one of the bands that she introduced me to. Her favorite one, and there's two that we have that we love to listen to together. And I've probably talked about them before. But she absolutely loves Skillet. And if you don't know, Skillet's music is not objectively Christian. And when I say that,
doesn't Skillet have that woman in it?
They got two women in it.
No. There's only one that I can think of. She's like, when you see her, it's like, whoa.
He's making fun of me.
I am. What does she do in the band again?
The drummer for Skillet is named Jen Ledger.
Yeah.
And I think she may be one of the most beautiful women on the face of the earth.
I mean, I get it.
But other than that, she's a really good drummer.
Yes,
she also has her own band now.
I didn't know that.
She does a group called Ledger, and their music is different than what Skillet does.
Now, if you want me to cut this from the podcast, I can certainly edit all of this out.
Well,
but I had to get you.
That's fine.
Because I know that she she's like, if you get a band, you got a fresh face on the front, it gets people's attention. I get it.
Katie introduced me to Skillet. I didn't know anything, but they've been around for a long time. They've actually been around like 25 years, and I was not aware of that.
Right.
The original lineup obviously is not still playing. Their music is not overtly Christian. It's not, oh God, we worship you, and some of the things you hear from Mercy Me or Hillsong stuff or that, is not overtly Christian. You're not going to catch a lot of references directly to God or Jesus or love or the Bible.
I like Mercy Me, but most of their songs pretty well tell you you're a Christian and you just suck. Being a Christian, you're not being a Christian enough, and you kind of just suck. I mean, I love their music, but if We Are the Body and and some of their songs just really bring me down.
But anyway,
sorry guys, I love your music, but hey.
Their music is very inspirational. It's got a very positive message, but it is definitely on the hard rock side of life. It is. If you don't like hard rock, you're not going to like Skillet, the modern incarnation of Skillet.
Right. That's like Yellow Card, which is not a Christian band, but the guy who lead sings in there, I
didn't finish talking about Skillet.
Well, he's a professing Christian, I believe. And it's like his music it's just good music, and it asks the big questions. It asks the questions about life and the meaning of things and purpose of stuff, and his idea is that that's where it comes from. That's his background. It's going to be in his music, and I respect that.
Now, but as
back to Skillet. Oh, now he's doing the clicking. If you ever hear that in here, it means it didn't edit out a time when we screwed up. Yeah.
So, was that your phone?
Yeah, my phone dinged. Mine doesn't have anywhere near as a cool a sound as yours does.
Anyway, but this past Easter, now I said Skillet's music is not overtly Christian. This past Easter, we were in the middle of COVID, and we were dealing with all that. And yes, I'm going to use a Jen Ledger thing here. And you're probably going to make fun of me for it. And that's okay.
Only minorly.
But she posted a 12 or 13 minute YouTube video where she's just sitting in front of a camera. And she laid out the fact, her thesis statement, if I can call it that, was, I am a Christian who happens to be in a popular rock band. She said, the rock band can come or go. I love what I do, but it can come or go. She said, what I want people to remember me for is being a Christian. John Cooper, who's the lead singer of Skillet, has a podcast called Cooper Stuff. If you've never heard it, go find it. He's amazing. Does a great podcast. As soon as you're done listening to us, of course.
Yes.
But his podcasts are always about his faith in Jesus And it always comes back to that for him. He's married to the other guitarist, so you don't see her doing a lot of the public stuff that John does because he's the face of the band. So you've got a group of professing Christians who will tell you their faith comes first. They love being in a rock band. That's what they want to do. That's what God gave them the talent to do. But if that were gone tomorrow, they'd still be Christians.
So are you saying that maybe the wrong thing is to dictate to other people how we want them to do their Christianity?
Well, I think that's what we started out with.
I know that's exactly the point. That the people, honestly, if you feel like that your job is to dictate anyone else's method of being a Christian, I'm not talking about setting them straight on their doctrine, concerning Jesus Christ being who he is, that you have to believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, born of a virgin, that he died for your sins, that he rose again, and you've got to believe these certain things to really even call yourself a Christian. That's a fact. But the thing is that people want to dictate the rest of your life. Some of them want to dictate everything about your life. And that is where we have a significant problem, because that's where you're sure that you could tell everyone how to do it right, and you've overstepped. You overstepped. That's God's territory. Let him take care of it. Brian Smith is famous for saying that God will accept you how you are. He will turn a pressure hose on you on the inside.
You don't take a shower. You don't wash up before you get in the shower.
And the problem is the kind of dirt they're trying to wash off is not dirt, not even sin. They're making sin out of something to have sin.
Now, we talked about Skillet, and they are definitely hard rock.
What about one of my favorites?
Okay.
Well, and they were highly criticized in their day, Graham. In their day.
Oh, this is one of my favorites too. I was going to get to them.
My two of my favorites.
Okay.
To me, I think of almost in the same way, was Stryper and Petra.
Yeah.
Because
very different styles of music.
Well, Petra began in that 70s sound and then moved into the big hair sound later. But they were definitely different earlier on. Whereas Stryper was straight up the big hair rock right from the beginning.
They were 80s hair metal.
And I absolutely ate up Stryper.
And
sitting in the floor with my buddy playing war games in the floor and listening to Stryper to Hell with the Devil was absolutely a treat.
One of my daughter's favorite songs.
Yeah, and I'm not even trying to justify whether that song was good or not. I'm saying that was what my buddy brought and we listened to. And Stryper was some good music to me at that time.
And Stryper backed off for a few years, and I'll freely admit they had some rough times. Anytime you've got brothers in a band, they're going to have rough times together.
Right.
But if you listen to their latest album, have you listened to their latest album? I
actually got their album, the one before this one. It kind of almost had a reunion-y feel.
Yeah.
They did a lot of their music over again. And you know what I feel about that? They all sound like me. Older than I was when I did it the first time.
Yes, but go listen to their new stuff.
We've aged, boys. We've aged, boys.
But their new songs.
Yeah.
They have one called Yahweh.
Oh yeah.
And it is an amazing song. If you like 80s hair metal, now this is written and recorded in 2018, maybe 17, but it is 80s hair metal in better recording equipment.
Wow.
I mean, it is just straight up hard rock. Now, we've talked a lot about hard rock, whether it's Petra or Stryper or Skillet.
Now, here's the thing about, before we leave off, can I tag just one thing here?
Yes.
When I listened to Petra, the first time I listened to Petra, you walked into this Christian bookstore, and if they had a section that had this stuff, it was like 2 or 3 cassettes stacked in the corner. And Christians whisper behind your back that this wasn't even Christian music. Really, it was Christian rock, and Christian rock is that and this, the other. And I got a hold of it, and I heard a song that goes, "Don't let your heart be hardened. Don't let your love grow cold. May it always stay so childlike. May it never grow too old. I'm telling you, man, that song, like, it just put goosebumps all down through me because it was talking about letting Christ reign in your heart, about letting Him keep you ready and fluid and to not become hard. And it goes on to say, such things like keep it broken before Jesus, keep it thankful, meek, and pure. May it always feel compassion. May it be as one with God. May it never be contrary. May it never be at odds. May it always be forgiving. May it never know conceit. May it always be encouraged. May it never know defeat. And this was the band that people were like, they're not Christians. They're playing Christian rock and roll. And I'm just like, nah, you know what? I looked at the tree and I saw the fruit on it. Well, that's what Eve did. No, I looked on this tree and I saw the fruit showed the roots were in Christ.
Well, I'll give you one similar.
Yeah, lay it on me.
There's a band that.
Are you going to try and sing this song?
I am not going to sing. I promise. I told you that earlier.
I'll admit I am not a singer. I'm really not. I do love music, and what can I say? And if I actually have like written just some, like I call it, folk Christian songs, but they come out really Irishy and Celtic.
I wonder why.
I don't know why. Actually, because a few of them are I borrowed tunes from some, like Dirty Old Town. Yeah, I've written other lyrics to that one.
That is a great song.
That's a beautiful song.
So, the band is called Disciple.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
They are right on the line between real hard rock and real heavy metal.
Right.
They are right on that line, and we'll cross that line in a minute. I got a good one to cross that line with. But Disciple has a song called Radical.
Okay.
Now, you say rock band, and the name of the song is Radical, and all of a sudden people are throwing crucifixes at you and holy water.
Sure.
I'm going to give you just a few of the lyrics.
I keep my holy water in a super soaker. Go ahead.
Oh, gosh.
Go ahead. You were saying...
Stop.
No, that's staying in, bro.
So, the very first verse is, it's easy to find one that will compromise, but it's not easy to find one that is willing to stand. The road to hell is wide, but to heaven is one way, one truth, one life.
Oh, that sounds like theology.
Now,
you sure it's not a theology textbook?
It could be. The chorus, and that's half of the first verse. The chorus is, I've been radically loved, I've been radically changed. By His grace, I have been radically saved.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll live my life no other way.
That's awesome.
There is no, if you read this as poetry, nobody would argue with you that this is Christian in its backing.
True.
Now, if you saw the band, you would look at them, or some people would look at them and go, they're devil worshipers. Because they got funny haircuts, or they got funny color hair, or they dress a little strange. And they do. But you know what? If he's singing this kind of songs, and a lot of their songs are this kind of songs, there's one that is not as heavy, and I'll have to get the name of it. I know the song really well, but it's one of my favorites.
While you're looking that up, there was a group that a short-lived group, but I really enjoyed them, called Encominon, and they were really, really cool, and I'll never forget them. But one of the guys that I knew from there, he loved to write really good music, and actually, I got the opportunity to teach him how to arrange music a little bit for that. Not that I play a lot, but I helped him out when he was younger. But it reminded me of a group that was back in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and they played for worship services. And mind you, one of the things that they played was a offertorial for the youth worship. And it was a crazy rock and roll song that just repeated, "We've got nickels and dimes." Nickels and dimes. And I'm telling you, it's like, well, that's not appropriate. Yeah, but they had some
not?
They had some really good offerings.
Why is that not appropriate?
The song was celebrating the fact that we might not have a whole lot, but we can make a difference.
But we can do something
with our nickels and dimes. And it was really an interesting song. It wasn't theologically deep. There was nothing wrong with it, and it was hilarious. to have the offertorial being played of We've Got Nickels and Dimes, and the kids just pulling the money out and giving to God because their heart was giving. And with that money, that church did some great things.
And here's my thing, is things can be non-religious and still be good.
Yeah.
Things don't have to be religious in nature to be good things.
No, because the truth of God is, see, you know why that is? Because the Holy Spirit of God is working everywhere, convincing people of sin, righteousness, and judgment.
So the song that
do you think that God's Spirit only works only through just Christian bands, Christian music?
No. Paul said...
Or does God's Spirit work all over the world at all times trying to convict people of sin, judgment, and righteousness? And
Paul
will
said,
use any way in.
Paul said that you already know it.
Right.
You don't have to be taught it. It's innate in you.
We know.
You have to be. Yeah. You have to be directed, but you don't have to be taught to believe in something.
We know there's worldly religion. That's not worldly religion, and we know there's worldly music. That's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about loving your brother and sister in Jesus Christ who are also believers, and not being so critical of others just because they don't do things your way. Or as one man said, well, it can't be right because it doesn't edify me. Well, maybe you don't edify me. You know,
maybe you don't edify God.
Yeah, right. I'm saying,
hey, I don't care if you edify me. Edify God.
Just because it doesn't do anything for you doesn't make it wrong.
No.
Southern gospel music doesn't do a whole lot for me. Quartet style music doesn't do almost anything for me. I'm sorry. I've listened to it most of my life. Now let me tell you something. My church was across from the Singing Greens. I respect them. I know that they sang for Jesus Christ. I know that they loved Jesus. I know that their music was good music, and the people in that church enjoyed it, and other people enjoyed it, and I did not. It wasn't because of the Greens. It was because I didn't enjoy Southern gospel music that much. Man, I DJ'd at a radio station. That was its format. And you know what? I was really good at picking out the best of the Southern gospel music. Do you know why? Because I could only stand to listen to the best. And I could pick it. I could pick it because it had to be good for me to listen to it because I didn't normally like it.
So we're going to cross that line now. If Skillet and Disciple are too heavy for you, do not even go looking for this next band.
All right, so who's the next band?
The next band is called Demon Hunter.
Demon Hunter?
Demon Hunter.
Oh, brother, I can already hear this one.
And I'll be honest with you, there's some of their stuff I don't even listen to.
Right.
They get a little heavy for even me.
Yeah.
But again, they are professing Christians.
Right.
Their music always has a good message, whether it's overtly religious or not. And some of it is, some of it isn't. But it is a very heavy metal band.
Right.
In the screaming and the growling and all that stuff.
Growling?
Yes.
That's not.
He can growl with the best of them.
That's just terrible.
But if you break the songs down, it's a lot like the Disciple song I just...
Right.
You know, the theology is there and it's solid. You know, it's... How can you argue with a style of music that is bringing glory to the Lord?
Well, I think the thing is that people know if you believe in Jesus Christ, you're saved, you love the Lord... You know, he saves people from all kinds of lifestyles, walks, backgrounds, experiences. And I know when I was younger, a lot of the guys around us were like, I want to say the ex-hippie generation. And you know, they would get on their guitars and they'd sing that bluesy 70s rock. But they would write songs that told people about staying off drugs and getting clean and finding Jesus and finding that God was the answer. And let me tell you something. Their music was not normal. It was not the mainstream Christian music of whatever time period that was. But they were pouring out their heart about what God was trying to do in their lives. And that is what you've got to respect. You've got to respect a man pouring out his heart in the way he understands to do so before God. You have to be careful to not criticize people in the way that they're worshiping. I'm not going to criticize one singing hymns in a church that's stately. I'm not going to criticize the people who are listen to a rock and roll band or a praise band. I'm going to tell you this. You have to be very careful before you criticize them because it is that kind of criticism that got David's wife in trouble with God
Yeah.
because she saw David dance before the Lord. There was a mower. I think the mower must have thrown something as well.
Okay.
But David was dancing before the Lord, and she decided to speak about it because she thought it was being inappropriate. And God didn't let her have kids after that. That was it. He just stopped it. That was it. Done. I mean, that was it. I mean, and it was because she was judgmental toward someone who was honestly worshiping God. That'll offend God quicker, apparently, than a lot of things. So we need to get off of our high horse. I don't really get on horses much. Get off of my low donkey.
That's because you're short.
Yeah, get off of my low donkey. And, I just found it so weird to me that people have that feeling that they've got to dictate everyone else's Christianity. Also, I don't dictate everyone else's Christianity. I'm just telling you how I feel.
You just dictate mine.
No, I wouldn't call it dictating it. Maybe improving it. But I think that you've improved mine, and I would like to hope that I've helped improve yours.
And
you've improved mine. I was really, really very inflexible in different times in my life. I learned to be a little more flexible and be more appreciative of things and to enjoy things. I was raised in a church that had difficulty enjoying a lot of things. My parents were fine. I just adopted a very religious-y kind of angle. Even my parents didn't have that angle. They would go see plays at Lee's McRae, and they would go to some concerts. Granted, we didn't have a lot of concerts there that were there. I mean, they'd go to, but they go to some. They go to art things at the university at Appalachian State University, and so. But me, I get that really very religious, strained way that I find was just a fabrication so that I could have superiority over other people. A superiority that I didn't need that to achieve. I already have plenty superiority. Right, Graham?
You think you do. Now, I will say that we have...
It's true. I'm just teasing.
You think it is.
No, come on, man. Look, you know what? I'll tell you where the superiority is at, and to be honest with you, and that is the superiority is in God. It is in the truth that He has. If there's anything superior, it is absolutely that. If I have true and superior doctrine, Graham, it is because I rely upon Him to define it, and that's why it may be better than what I even knew of when I was younger, because I've let God be the definer of what I believe.
Now, there's something that we haven't touched on a whole lot because it's not what we enjoy. Yeah. Did I scare you?
What do we enjoy, Graham? What are you really are throwing some curveballs at me, man. And you give some curveballs.
Well, you and I grew up before hip-hop and rap really took off.
Whoa. Now,
I've been forced to listen to some of it. The Christian hip-hop, the Christian rap.
Right.
I don't like that style of music. That's not to say that the people are wrong. It's just to say I don't prefer that style. I don't prefer reggae most of the time. You were talking about Christafari a while ago.
Right.
That's not something I would listen to because I don't enjoy that style of music. That's not judging them as Christians or not as Christians or whatever. That's just I don't care for reggae music a whole lot. I get a little taste of it here and there, and that's enough for me. I get more than a taste of rap, and it's all I need. I promise. But there are some apparently good Christian rappers out there.
Yeah. One of them is a guy by the name of Tadashi, which I've gotten to listen to. Tedashii. I had the pleasure of getting to hear him perform.
And one I've just pulled him up because I don't know who he is. But apparently he did a song with Lecrae, which is one of my daughter's favorite ones.
Oh yes,
and I can never remember that guy's name.
Oh yeah, this is some really good hip hop, R&B combo with you rap, whichever way you want to call it.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, and I mean, we took somebody he'd never been exposed to this kind of stuff before, and He did a section with David Crowder. Do you remember David Crowder?
I do remember David Crowder.
He used to have a band called David Crowder Band, and
very creative name.
Yeah, and Crowder is actually the beard. That if you have a beard off their chin, that's called a Crowder. I didn't know that, but I learned that much. But look, he did a performance with David Crowder, and they did "Lift Your Head, Weary Sinner," and oh my gosh, it was so good. And he shared, and his music is really good.
Now, something we need to say.
And on that, let's note that in the African American community, you have the gospel community or the gospel singers, which is its own genre and own style, but it's a beautiful music. And some people define that as being the only Christian music for different groups and cultures. And but I happen to enjoy all kinds of music. But not only that, most of the music I was exposed to in Boone, North Carolina was a combination of jazz and 70s rock. And we had quite a lot of jazzy musicians that were definitely African American influenced and around the streets of Boone. It wasn't unusual to see a guy sitting there playing a saxophone or a guitar, as well as maybe seeing some guys in another area playing mandolins and banjos.
And bagpipes.
And bagpipes too if the Scottish Festival's in town. So I grew up around that. But one of my favorite guys I knew was Morris Hatton. And he sings a lot of gospel. And he goes to a Mennonite Brethren church in Boone, North Carolina, which is a predominantly African American congregation. And I'm telling you, this man can sing. And he will definitely take a song and make it worth hearing. In fact, you can actually see some videos by him on YouTube.
One thing that I want to touch on before we get out of here is, and I'll say this about Christian musicians or Christian comedians or anybody that defines themselves as Christian but their platform is entertainment. They are entertainers. Not saying they're illegitimate, not saying that they're not what they claim to be, but they are entertainers. Mm-hmm. They are not your minister. They are not your church. Don't treat them as such. They don't want to be those things. They want to entertain you in a Christian format.
Well, it's like David Crowder. He got a start because his church didn't have worship music that was really getting the attention of the younger people, so he started writing worship music, and that was the origin of his band, more or less. Well, bringing that music into it. But you know what he did? He actually stepped back from David Crowder band so he could continue doing more worship music and working with his church. I mean, he still does other music, but his heart is in serving the people of God. That's important, right? These aren't gods; these are people of God.
And one thing we've got to remember is they are Christians, which means they're going to mess up. Right.
And it also means that we don't have the right to be judging these people like that. I'm sorry. When will Christians surrender the right to judge? I'm sorry, but the Word of God goes over and over and over. Yes, we judge the fruits. Yes, we judge our own sins, and we take care of that. Yes, but when will we surrender the right to judge our brothers and sisters so harshly? When will we get and realize the Word of God calls us to surrender that?
Let's say it this way. I want to judge someone who is sinning actively.
Yeah.
I want to go to them as a brother or as a sister and say, you're screwing up, stop it.
Right.
You know you're not doing the right thing. We do this for each other all the time.
Right.
Hardly a day goes by that one of us doesn't go, hey, might want to take a look at that.
Well, I don't know about you, Graham. I may not feel
okay, so he says it a lot more than I do. I'll give you that.
The truth is that if we do feel like we're not, or I say going off the rails, we know we can go, hey, I got a problem. But that means something, man,
But remember that these are also Christian brothers or sisters and they're going to mess up, and when
Yeah.
they do, we should not, we should not let them get away with the sin.
Yeah.
We should not let them get away with what they're doing wrong. But we can't throw them under the bus every time either.
Well, Christianity, they say Christianity is one of the few religions that kills its wounded. And I believe it's because when they disappoint God, people are disappointed. And they're so disappointed, it reveals that your emphasis was not on God, but on the person. And I feel like this happens. Like Amy Grant experienced this. She went through a real turmoil, dealing with her faith and dealing with where she stood in the pressures of being what was becoming a pop star in her day. And the pressure she was under. And she was under pressure. And so then when she did a few things and did a few songs and performed that wasn't quote unquote Christian exactly, people just all blew a fuse, and it was so the way people talked about her, and she knows, it was horrible, And then not long ago she came in and did a song, and she was doing a beautiful worship song that she helped sing with, and I'm telling you, man, it was just wonderful to see. Because God had a plan for her life, like He has a plan for anyone else. But that's her life to live with God. Just because she put herself in the spotlight doesn't mean that you have the right to judge her as a Christian anymore. Sorry, just doesn't.
And I will say,
and also we don't know what she went through with the pressure she felt. And is she serving the Lord? Yeah, she's serving the Lord.
Well, and
I don't know her full story or walk, but I know she loves Jesus Christ.
And even somebody that actually legitimately does something wrong.
Right.
It doesn't sound like she may have done a whole lot legitimately wrong.
She disappointed a fan base.
But
she disappointed a fan base that were Christians, and they got their shorts in a knot because now she wasn't good enough. Whoa, okay.
But
she showed weakness. What? Come on. Where's the love? Where's the love?
Here's the stone if you can cast it.
Right. Well, people have no problem apparently throwing stones. But I get what you're saying. I mean, it's just exactly
referring to Jesus and the
right. I mean, the same thing. Michael W. Smith, when he, Michael W. Smith has had a long career making some great music. One of the things Michael W. Smith was known for is altering his musical style to reach to the audience. You remember Carmen was also like this. Carmen would alter. Hey, you're laughing.
No. Katie said something one day. My daughter said something one day about Christian rock and Christian rap and all this stuff. And I said, honey, let me play you what was contemporary Christian back in my day. And so I broke out to Carmen. She thought it was the silliest thing she'd ever heard. Tell you true, so did I. Carmen did not hold up well.
Tastes change. This is true. And again, I apologize to you, Carmen. I love you. And Graham, whatever. But when Michael W. Smith, he has had a long, really good career of doing Christian music. But when he made his first foray into doing music that was aimed at presenting the questions about faith and presenting God, but not being exactly edged with Christianese, people got mad.
Yeah, and
they got mad. One of his recordings, which was called Big Picture, supposedly by some people said it was one of the worst ones he did. And I don't even know if he speaks well of it in some of the stuff he's written about in interviews. But Michael W. Smith, I got one word for you. Big Picture, the song Lamu, and Rocket Town was exactly what I experienced. I would travel with my family, and when I traveled with my family away from home, it was like my Lamu. I would go off, and I would let go of everything and try to put all the stuff behind me, and I lived almost a dual life. And because, I guess I had a lot of misery inside. And you realize that this is not the way to live. And Rocket Town was just like my town. Just like growing up in Boone, North Carolina, in a college town. Rocket Town, that song just got me. So, that song, maybe some people it didn't speak to them. Maybe some people it didn't do something for them. It did something for me. It ministered to me. It made me think. And I respect that.
But what I get tired of seeing is somebody will make a mistake, and everybody go, see, that just proves they weren't a Christian after all. Wait a minute. I'm a Christian and I've not lived a perfect life. You're a Christian and you've not lived a perfect life. Our listeners are Christians and they've not lived a perfect life. Why do we hold entertainers to such high standards?
You know what? One time I was in prison. I worked there, okay?
Was I there with you?
I worked there, and you know what? One time we had a guy, and he was being super critical out loud about the guys in there that were reading their Bibles and doing Bible study around one of the bunks. And he started ragging on him really hard about how, you come to prison and now you're going to start reading the Bible and being a Christian and rah, rah, rah. He was just going on and on and on. And Graham, I had my fill of it. Because one, it's causing a little bit of unrest because he's talking to the OG guys that are in there. And he just needs to go sit down somewhere before someone fixes him.
You're too old to use that phrase.
The guys I was there watching weren't too old. They were the real OG. These guys were the real thing.
I know.
Some of them, in semi-retirement in prison. And I told him, I called him toward the desk and I said this out loud because he'd been going on for a while. I said, let me tell you something right here. These guys in here that are seeking God right now, you need to be quiet about it. And I will tell you why. When you did the things that you did what was normal for you because you were a sinner. Right? So all you did what was normal. When they did wrong as a Christian, some of them. And what they did wrong, they know they've done wrong.
Yeah.
Only Christians can fail. A sinner can't be any more of a sinner by sinning. Only a Christian can make the choice to sin and fail. But then also, only a Christian is the kind of people God's going to try and pick back up and redeem out of their failure. Now, that doesn't mean God doesn't try and bring back people who are unsaved, but He has a special care for people who are saved and get tripped up on something. Because they're His kids. Just like when my child's walking beside me and he stumbles, I don't reach down and slap him in the head and say, "You fool! Watch where you're walking." Why would I do that? I grab him by the shoulder.
Because it's fun.
I grab him by the shoulder.
I don't do that either, just to clear the record.
What do? We grab him by the shoulder, step him upright, keep him from falling into the ditch, put him to the side, and do I just go let it go? No. Now I'm going to tell him, look, you've got to be more careful. But you've got to watch out for this. You got to be more. You be careful about this. You be more thoughtful about how you're walking. Pay attention. But I don't just let them crash and burn.
And if they need it, you take them to the hospital. You don't shoot them in the middle of the street.
Oh boy.
No, but you said a while ago we shoot our own.
Yeah, we need to stop doing it.
And that's what we do. If somebody falls and they break a leg, we don't take them to the hospital.
Right.
We shoot them where they lay and leave them.
People be so judgy.
And I mean that metaphorically, folks. Don't.
It's true.
But we tend to turn our back on them and go, well, see, they weren't really a Christian after all. And walk away from them.
People who say that.
We got to wrap this up, bro.
People who say that may be showing whether they really believe in Jesus Christ.
Oh, another one in the books. Another good one in the books.
Another really good episode of Bunker Brothers here, and I am so excited about this. Graham, we got some cool things coming out.
And go look up some of these bands we've been talking about, and look up their lyrics. See what they're preaching.
Hey, and
so to speak,
if they're not for you, that's
okay. Fine. As I said, I'm not a big rap person. I'm not going to like rap music. No matter who is singing it or what they're singing about, I'm probably not going to like it.
I like some of it.
I don't. It's never been my thing.
Some Daft Punk.
I'm not going to like EDM either.
That's all you got to know.
I'm turning this off, guys, because he's making that noise. You sound like a sick cat. He sounds like a sick cat.
Bye, guys.